Hey guys, and welcome back for another video. So just as I promised in my previous video, I am now starting on the golem Inquest Backpiece that you can get in the most recent patch, a bug in the system. Unfortunately though, I'm going to have to break this up into two parts as it's a bit longer than I thought it was when I first started. In this video, we'll do the first and second collection, saving the third for an upcoming video once I have that all thrown together. To get this free Ascended Backpiece, we're going to need to do 3 collection achievements, and in this video we're just going to go over the first 2. Just like with the collection achievement for the 32 slot bag, we're first going to have to beat the bug in a system storyline, and again we will have gotten an item from completing the final story instance, and this time around it's an item called the Inquest device. When I received this item from completing the story, I immediately salvaged it, as I have several Ascended back items already, so I saw this item more as a salvage opportunity than anything else, but as someone who has salvaged it already, I can confidently tell you that you can continue completing this without it. You will need to have ever had this item, but you won't need it physically in your inventory past this part. The basic gist of what we're trying to accomplish here is there is a golem out there that we need to track down some parts for and repair over 3 collections. So for this first one, we're going to need to get the basic components together, and to get the majority of these, you can actually just do the Specimen Chamber meta event on the southern half of this map. Now I did cover this in both of my previous videos, but for those of you out there who maybe are more interested in this or are coming into this video later than when this patch originally went live, you'll need to start from the Althoma waypoint and head south. I recommend getting on the skimmer mount as there's a body of water between the north and southern halves of the map. As you approach the southern half of the map, you're going to see all kinds of Asuran technology, but what we're mostly looking for here is an opening into the facility itself. Once inside, just follow the path all the way back until it dead ends and make a right turn, and you'll be where the pre-event for the Specimen Chamber takes place. The pre-event in itself is more or less just a defend point event. There'll be one area that's clearly indicated by a white border, and you'll just need to defend that particular part of the map from upwards of 50 waves of Inquest and golems until it's finally over. At the end of this event, the door directly behind the point you were just defending will open up, and you'll be able to fight a couple of bosses. You'll first have to fight one boss, then another boss, and then both bosses at the same time. The bosses themselves are chosen at random, so keep that in mind. But really guys, for the most part, we just need to focus on that pre-event. I only tell you about the meta event itself so that you can get the most out of your rewards after that pre-event is over. The pre-event is our bread and butter here because you're mostly fighting Inquest and Inquest golems, and that's where the majority of these parts come from. Now it is worth mentioning that for a few of these at least, you can actually just fight Inquest and golems around the map if the meta event is not something you're interested in, but it's pretty rewarding, so I highly recommend using that event to get these items. From the Specimen Chamber pre-event alone, you should be able to get the left and right golem arm, integrated circuitry, as well as the gravatic repulsion and holographic display units. Now all of these items do drop off of slightly different mobs, so make sure that you're tagging Inquest golems, as well as the champion variants in order to get all these items. Once you have these items, you'll actually need to track down 2 more, but these aren't too terribly difficult to get a hold of either. For the optical sensor, you're going to need to kill some MOAs or MOA hatchlings, and you can find a fair number of these between the Althoma waypoint and the hunting grounds. This obviously isn't very hard at all, just make sure that while you're killing these, you're paying attention to your loot until you see an optical sensor. Lastly, we're going to need a golem power core, and for this you just need to find and kill a Mark III suppressor golem. This boss is going to show up in an event that takes place all over Rata Primus, so you'll pretty much just have to wait until you see one of these. Just keep in mind that it's fairly close to where that Specimen Chamber event is going, so if you happen to notice some other events going on, maybe look around and see if that's the Mark III suppressor golem. While this isn't necessarily the hardest fight in the game, it is worth bringing a couple of people along with you to make sure that you get this cleared successfully the first time. The power core itself, I believe, is just an event reward, so just make sure that you complete the event. So now we have all the parts and we can get to the repairing portion of this collection achievement. Head over to the Aneageal encampment waypoint, and from here just get on your skimmer and head north. There's a little path between the mainland and a small island near the waypoint. You're just gonna squeeze between those two, and right around the corner, you'll probably see several players standing next to a very tiny red golem. This is IG-6417. Speaking with the NPC will allow you to hand over all those items you just collected, and that pretty much takes care of the repairing portion of this collection achievement. Once you're done, you will be rewarded with an Inquest apparatus, which is just another half-finished back skin for your account. Now we can move on to the second part of this collection achievement called Rebooting IG-6417. To get started this time, we're going to need an Inquest passcode, and you can just simply kill Inquest until this drops. Of course, the Specimen Chamber event is always worth giving a shot here, but if you're a little burnt out on that, I believe I got mine off of some random Inquest. Once you've got the Inquest passcode, you'll be able to interact with a bunch of modules around Rata Primus, and that's what we're going to need to do for this next part. As far as where to get started, well, just head towards the Specimen Chamber event, but instead of going through that hallway, actually just use your Springer to jump up on top, and here you should see a small room that has sort of red glass, we'll call it. And if you head over to around about the middle of this area, you should be able to use your interact key on something that's on the other side of the wall. Now, if you've seen my guide on how to get the 32 slot bag, you'll know that there's a pretty easy way to get in here from the hunting grounds using a jackal portal. So if for some reason they decide to change this so that you actually have to be in the room, just be sure to check out that guide, and it shouldn't be too hard to figure out where to go from there. The second module can be found southwest from the first one. On the map, this can be found directly north of the word Western in the Western Complex. Again, here we're looking for another small room, only this time it's wide open. There might be some golems or Inquest you have to deal with, but just head for that Inquest console, interact with the module, and we can head on to Module 3. And this module can be found almost directly south from the previous one. I recommend remaining mounted if at all possible if you want to try and avoid some of these enemies, but eventually you should come up on a larger Asuran structure with an opening on the right hand side, and just inside that opening you should find your next Inquest console. For the next one, we're going to need to head right from the previous, and if you head in between the two hexagon shapes on your minimap, you should notice some up arrows on the left-hand side. Just use those up arrows as a guide on your Springer mount until you get to the top. Again, you'll see another set of up arrows, and again, use that as your guide to get all the way up on top of the tower. Once atop the tower, you should see the next Inquest console. From atop this large tower, we can actually just glide to our next module. This one will be west on the map, and what we're looking for is the larger hexagonal shape. Either glide or use mounts to get over to that structure, and once you're inside, you'll be able to find your next Inquest console. Once you're finished with that, you can actually just head southeast on the map, and our next location is pretty easy to see as there's a giant Asuran laser off in the distance. Head closer and closer to that laser until you're actually there, and you should see a bunch of black awakened goop surrounding the base, and it's actually inside of this black goop that we're gonna find our next Inquest module, but it's a little difficult to tell if you're in the right place. Not only are there a bunch of enemies that you'll have to fight here in order to actually get a clean shot at harvesting this module, but your perspective can kind of make it a little confusing. So if you want some landmarks to make this as easy as possible, there will be a pyramid shape right next to a circle, and I do believe this is the only part of the map that looks like this. I do apologize if it's not, but this should help. But if not, the footage should be enough to help you guys figure out exactly where this one is located. For the last module, we actually need to get inside of Rata Primus, so that central area. And if you want to take the same path we've been taking for the majority of this video, just head over once more to that hallway leading into the Specimen Chamber event, take that down, but instead of taking it all the way back, this time we're going to take the first left. Follow that hallway down for quite a while, and right before it opens back over on the other side near the other waypoint, you should see a right turn with a door that'll allow you to get into the center area. Once you make it here, find a safe place and look at your map. On the southeastern portion of Rota Primus, you should see again some more hexagonal shaped objects. Leading up to these, you will find some ramps you can take, and once you get atop of those ramps, you'll see some more hexagonal shaped platforms with red lights that you can take to an open room. It's inside of this room that you're going to see two paths you can take either on the left or the right of this room, and you're going to need to take the right hand side. This hallway is going to wind back for a little while, but eventually you should see the Inquest console you need to complete this part. With all of these modules finally located and downloaded, we can head back to our golem friend, and it's here that you'll be able to turn these all in once more. Unfortunately, this time around, we're only going to be able to give him one part per day. I do believe there was one time where I handed over a part and it allowed me to hand over a second, but I would go ahead and plan on this taking 7 days to complete. When at long last you finally make it to that last module, you will need to first revise it with Herotron back in Lion's Arch. This because the original makes the golem sort of evil, and so we just need to rectify that real quick. Head to Commodore's Quarters waypoint in Lion's Arch, and head southeast on the map through the trading quarter where all the crafting is, and you should see Herotron. This is as easy as just talking to Herotron about the part, and he'll revise it for you, allowing you to finally turn in that last module. And that, guys, is it for the first two parts. I'm actually just about to wrap this part up myself, so I thought I'd throw this video out. Again, the reason we're breaking this up into two parts is because we're going to need to complete 21 events for the third, and I wanted to make sure that had a video all of its own, as not to bog this one down. Not to mention, you guys are probably looking at about 7 days from now before you can even get started on the next part if you're just now getting around to this collection achievement. As a quick side note before I wrap this up, you will need about 105 defluorite crystals for the next part, so if you're following along with my guides specifically, try to get those defluorite crystals before those 7 days are up so you don't have anything else gating you from the third part and that back piece that you obviously want because you came here to watch this video. But anyway, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.